about to remove the freshwater heat exchanging system.
That's where we're going.
Yes!
I'm Adriana, and this is Jim. We met in a band, got married, had a family, got into boating, and when our children moved to London, we sold everything to move on to Kikamalu, our home, a 42-foot Swanson with our spoodle Lucy. This is our salty life. Subscribe and welcome aboard. Last time we took you to Wollombai to see a 30,000-year-old Aboriginal cave and showed you the huge swells caused by an East Coast low. This time we go to Sydney to catch up with friends and family. We also go into the city to tie up some loose ends before we head north.
Someday I will leave you when I've had enough of your beauty. I haven't gotten used to your scent.
The Sydney Royal Botanical Garden is a heritage-listed 74-acre park set into the heart of the city at Farm Cove, the first farm settled by Europeans. It was opened in 1816 and is the oldest scientific institution in Australia and one of the most important historical botanical institutions in the world. It's vast and teeming with interesting plants and trees. Meet Sir Richard Burke, Governor of New South Wales, who stopped convict transportation and gave convicts their freedom. And this is an inscription for navigator Matthew Flinders' cat, Trim, who travelled with him to Australia and was the delight of his fellow voyagers.
Because for now, New York, you have a hold on me. Because for now, New York.
We haven't been in the city for a long time, and we were surprised at how empty the streets were.
What's most unusual about it is that everything is kind of in half operation. Like there's businesses, cafes that are not fully open. They've got reorganised to provide sufficient social distancing, very limited services, so it's quite unusual.
It's a bit apocalyptic, isn't it?
It's quite odd, yeah. That was one of the businesses we owned and ran for 20 years before we sold everything nearly 2 years ago. We can't imagine going back to that life again.
Crowded streets, polluted air.
That doesn't mean we've stopped working. We both have jobs. We just work from the boat, and we can do this because we have opted to live a simpler life. It's not for everyone, living on the water, but for us, it's living our best life.
What are we doing?
Walking around aimlessly testing out our new camera.
It's a great camera, we love it.
While we're in Sydney, we bought ourselves a Sony ZV-1 compact vlogging camera, similar to the RX100. Tell us what you think.
I would
get away. It's getting real dark in here. Feels like I've been here 1,000 years. Could you bring some light?
So it feels like we've been here 1,000 years, as the song says, doesn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's beginning to feel that way, but it's not a bad place to be stuck in. It's beautiful, so be it.
It looks like the Queensland borders are going to stay open for a while. We're not sure how long, because Victoria, which is a state south of New South Wales where we're at the moment, is having its second wave.
The week began with a decision not seen for a century. Victoria and New South Wales closing their border.
Whilst the state to the north, Queensland, has opened its borders just about a week ago, the state to the south, called Victoria, has had a second wave hit it due to poor security management at the hotels where people were quarantining. So that's spreading into the state we're in, which is New South Wales. So things are going backwards. We've actually had the highest infection rate day ever, which it's still only a bit over 500, but it is the highest. So I know some other countries, they're talking like thousands every day.
Yes, we could go up north just as far as the border to Queensland, but we might get stuck there. So
yeah, if it goes into full lockdown, it makes any sort of travel almost impossible. So we'll just take it one day at a time and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
I wrote this while sitting in Terminal B. The words just flow like they were searching.
In the meantime, the weather hasn't been so good for travelling north. We've had east coast lows with high winds and big swells. We've had rain, and we've just had to sit it out.
While I watch my patience run, now my favorite days have come.
Since we've been isolating, we've hardly seen any of our friends. And with the easing of restrictions, it really cheers us to have visitors.
Be ourselves with no fear. We waited 10 long months. Now we're finally here. We can love all our friends without no fears. This one's for you and you and you and you and you and you. This one's for you and you and you and you and you and you. This one's for you and you.
What's going on, Jimmy?
We're about to remove the freshwater heat exchanging system. So the engine's basically freshwater cooled, but the fresh water that cools the engine has a heat exchanger, which is here, which passes salt water through in those tiny copper tubes, and which cools the engine water. And then that salt water goes into the exhaust pipe out here, gets dosed into the exhaust to cool the exhaust system as it goes out. So something's gone wrong somewhere, something's broken down, and we're getting the salt water mixing with the fresh water. So the engine's running fine. This is just a maintenance thing that you have to do every so often. It hasn't been done in about probably 10 years, 15 maybe. I've had this off before when it had a small hole in the casting, so it's not a drama to get it off, but at the time we didn't service the heat exchanger part of it, which we should have. It's overdue, so time to get done, and Matt from Nelson Bay Marine is going to take it off for us. If it needs any welding work done around where this heat exchanger bolts into, if there's been any corrosion, that can all get done at the same time. And it'll just be pulled apart and cleaned with pressure blaster and what have you.
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Nice to see you
You're talking about this crack just here?
That
I can see a crack across there.
Just there.
Right. Glad we took it out.
Lucy, are we going out in the boat? We going? Okay, let's go. The day has finally arrived. So this is the first time we're going out of the marina in 8 months. It's just surreal and we're so excited, and that's where we're going. Yes! Where are we going, Jimmy?
I think Foam Cove. Yeah, there's a lot of shallow spots in this bay, so you just need to know where to go.
Following the sunrise, little bit progress on the way.
It was a magnificent day. There wasn't much of a breeze. We didn't care. We were so happy to be out of the marina and excited to explore the northern shores of this beautiful bay.
Port Stephens is a large waterway, but quite shallow in many areas, so you have to keep a close eye on the depths. Our draft is about 5 foot 10 inches, or around 1.8 metres, so it's not too deep, but we have to be careful.
4 metres.
On my way back home, with nothing on my tongue, sending prayers to somewhere else, to somewhere else. I have no source, nothing to define my soul. Just me standing naked.
Be careful out there. Come in here. Come on. Come on. Come in here. Come on. Yeah. Good girl. Good girl.
The afternoon was mellow, golden and warm. No wind, no swell, just the smell of sea air and a sunset worthy of a travel magazine. The sky was awash with pastel colours over volcanic peaks rising out of the sea like sentinels. We couldn't have asked for a better day.
The Sunset Cruise couple.
Did you have a nice day?
Very pleasant, actually. Flame Cove's quite nice. We'll be back. Kikamalu weighs 13 tonnes and she doesn't have a bow thruster, and whilst her underwater profile makes her a great blue water boat, it also means she doesn't reverse easily. So docking her requires a bit of planning and teamwork, but today it was a breeze.
I'm gonna be alright. I've been caught in time. I want you to know that I love you so.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us, you can give us a thumbs up. Tell us what you think in the comments below and subscribe to be notified of future videos. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a website. All the links are below. And if you'd like to support us further, you can find a link to Patreon there too.
And I feel like gold. And I love.
Once again, stay well, stay safe, and keep that tail wagging.